All right, welcome back to Prestige Motorsports. Today we're going to talk about induction systems, as you see here. So some call it the Borla or 8-stack, ITBs. At the end of the day, they're individual runner per cylinder systems. They're beautiful and they're elegant. What we want to talk about is really the value when you purchase one of these induction systems on one of our complete engines, or if you're a customer just purchasing it to put it on one of your own engines that you built or purchased elsewhere. And we'll also talk about the myths that commonly follow these systems. So what I'll do is start with the myths first, mainly because they're beautiful, they're elegant, they are fairly expensive, and some of the first things that you'll see is, concerns of drivability, that they're really an on-off switch. Either they're idle or wide open, but cruising, drivability isn't real good. That is totally incorrect. Maybe years and years ago, before the technology got better and they got refined. Also, these are fuel-injected versions, unlike the carbureted ones. So first and foremost, don't let that concern you. I can't tell you how many hundreds of these we have not only installed on engines, but put in vehicles, fine-tuned them, drove them, and they're fantastic. I mean, this is the jewelry that a lot of people want to put on top of their engine, and I don't want you to be deterred based on one person's comment out there. So definitely drivability does not suffer. Number two is camshaft selection, that you got to have wide lobe separation angles, which is going to probably inherently idle smoother in a lot of cases, and that the camshaft spec is very, very crucial on the EFI. Again, I'm going to say incorrect. It's all about how you tune and calibrate, and it doesn't matter if it's a 8-stack or ITB system versus a single throttle body with an injector per cylinder. It's all about target air fuel ratios, knowing where to set those targets, what does that engine combination want, as well as learning how to rescale fuel maps, things of that nature. And that all falls on us. That's part of some of the value that I'm going to talk about here in a minute. I think the other most common thing is you see with the linkage rods and bell crank, we got a lot of screws on these things, is that getting them adjusted and then keeping them in adjustment. People make the comment, you always have to work on it, always constantly adjust them. Again, I'm going to say that's incorrect. As long as they're properly set up the first time, there is a few little tips and tricks that we offer our clients to help keep them in adjustment, but usually it's not a problem. Things like the tension on the spring here. If it's basically a small cubic inch engine, the throttle butterfly doesn't need to be open very far, so there's probably very little tension. What we tend to do is use a higher tension spring, so it basically can hold that throttle adjustment screw very tight. You can also, once it's all set up, use something like super glue, something that somebody's not going to see, or a Loctite, and drop it on the thread so it can't back away, making sure everything's tight. So again, drivability, totally fine. Camshaft specs, really, if you want it to sound lumpy and grumpy like an old hot rod or muscle car, certainly can do that. And last but not least, the adjustability and having to readjust them all the time is not an issue. So do not let any of those things deter you from putting some jewelry on the top of your engine. So everything for us at Prestige is about details, and really it's always the value add for us. Anybody can just sell you this system and maybe drop ship it to you from whoever the supplier might be. In our case, I'll cover a few things. The first one, you see this harness sticking out the front. Specifically on 8-stack units, they're designed to look like Weber carburetors, so the injectors are hidden inside. They have 4 leads with 4 leads, and there would be 4 wires coming out of each one of these leads. Basically, they send you connectors, which is nice. So the connectors come with the 8-stack system, and what they're intending for you to do is take the harness on, say it's a Holley, Terminator X, HP, whatever it might be. They want you to cut this harness and put the individual connectors. Well, now we got this big lump of all these connectors. They work fine, they just don't aesthetically look good. So what we've done is taken the time to source the proper connector and pins. We have lengthened the harness as needed, but we have now a plug-in that will plug directly into your main harness. So this is truly a plug and play. It's clean, it's shrink tubed. The other thing I'll mention with this, it is vehicle specific. So this particular one is intended for a GT40. So this is going to come out the front of the manifold rather than the rear if we were in a Cobra or something of that nature. So we've basically made sure to have it coming the right direction, put the right connector and pins on it, and then things like the fuel lines. We do all the fuel lines, we pre-make all those, so whether you wanted stainless finish, black finish, we'll accommodate those needs as well. And last but not least is really the ECU. And this falls into a few things. We have an extensive list of different combinations that we've put these on. So we can set the expectation of what you should expect for horsepower if you're putting this on one of your own engines. Our tunes, the extensive list of tune-ups that we have available for HP, Dominator, Terminator X, so we can preload the ECU with the tune already in it, and that's going to get you a long ways ahead of fighting any tune-up in the vehicle. Although with the extensive list of different tunes that we can put in the ECUs, there is a small amount of in-vehicle tuning required, and that is one of the value-added pieces for us, is we can remote in and actually fine-tune it to your specific application. Last but not least, we have an arrayment of DIY videos that can help you along the way with installation, tuning, how to select the components, etc. So if you're in the market for an 8-stack induction system, please don't hesitate to give us a call or send us an email.